These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Reckless speculation. Reckless speculation.
Hello, welcome in to a Reckless Speculation Thursday. Hello. Speculation. It's Reckless
like
Speculation
was start
Thursday.
Singing the Adele song. Hello.
Yes.
It is me.
God.
I'm here to speculate. So every Thursday on this show, we bring in our friend Darren Doogie Wilson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department, the Scoop Podcast. You can find him a couple times a week here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. And we have another log on the Dalvin Cook fire here. So Doogie, you've been talking for weeks and weeks on this show that there's a good chance Dalvin Cook is going to be a former Viking at some point. So let's add Diana Rossini to the mix. Was this on Dex? Was this just on like Sports Center or something, or Get Up this morning?
I think Get Up is where it came from. I think she does her weekly or daily hits with that, and then also I think with Greeny, but Greeny was off this morning, so I'm pretty sure it was on Get Up with the TV.
I hate when Greeny's
I need to get
off,
that
man.
Greeny schedule. How does one get that Greeny schedule?
Well, but
every time I
Greeny's
flip on his radio show, it's anybody.
Well, he's
him.
never on that.
Right, but it's because he's
How does he
also
have his own
doing
radio show, but he never hosts it?
because he's hosting everything. He hosts the draft. He hosts NBA Countdown. He's hosting Get Up.
Forget his schedule.
Valid point. Yeah.
He's
I want
hosting
his
4
paycheck.
things. Well,
I don't care.
Yes.
I don't care about his schedule. I'll work 365.
I want to see
paycheck.
Judd hosting the NFL draft, throwing it over to just being the traffic cop. All right, let's
know
go
what?
to
No,
Todd.
you know what?
Mel, Todd, go.
That looks like hell.
Okay, so Draymond.
The traffic. No. I have no interest in being a traffic cop.
Okay, well, Greeny is the best traffic cop in
great
the
at it.
history of sports media.
No question about it. He's fantastic.
He is very good. Yeah.
I just like his paycheck.
Oh man, well maybe you can go get his
I got no
agent first, and then you can go from there. Go talk to the
no
Hubbard.
chance.
So all right, so Diana Rossini is saying all signs are pointing to a Dalvin Cook Vikings breakup here at some point. So is this a post June 1st thing, Dukes? At this point, there's just been a lot of rumblings about maybe a trade for a 5th round pick. Alex Madison probably doesn't sign 2 months ago for, whatever it was, $3-4 million a year, unless he and his agent were. They signed very quickly. And my guess is the word then was, hey, we can't guarantee anything, but you're probably going to get starting running back reps. So what do you make of the latest Dalvin Cook departure log being thrown on the fire?
Yeah, certainly not surprising, Phil. I mean, look at that Madison contract. 93% of that 2-year deal for $7 million is guaranteed. The Vikings don't guarantee Madison all that money if Dalvin Cook is on the books. Right after the draft, they get the 7th-round kid from Alabama, Birmingham, Dwayne McBride. The word was they had a starter's grade on him. That doesn't mean they had a first-round grade, but they view him as a starter. They still have a healthy opinion of Ty Chandler. It is a pass-first offense. Logically speaking, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to pay a running back as much money as Dalvin is on the books for. Now, I still think Dalvin has at least one good year in him. I think the surgery, that major surgery he had in January, can do him a lot of good. But yes, I feel today, just like I felt in mid-January, that Dalvin Cook is going to be an ex-Viking before week 1.
Dukes, what's your sense too of the not just the 2023 roster, but the upcoming offseason then into 24? Because we went through the list a couple days ago. I believe it's 37 from some very good players down, 37 pending free agents, a lot of decisions to be made. O'Connell and Kwesi have started the ball rolling on moves. I think we're entering a really, really interesting 2 years of seeing the reconstruction here. And I think next March might bring bigger surprises than this March did, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I mean, not many people are talking about this angle on Jordan Addison, KJ Osborn in a contract year, right? So there is a distinct possibility that 1 year from now, we are talking about KJ Osborn being an ex-Viking, right? For right now, Addison, Osborn, Jefferson can coexist as receivers. But 1 year from now, in all likelihood, right now, not 100%, but there's a decent chance that KJ Osborn will be elsewhere. But yeah, I mean, what did you say the number is, Judd? 37
pending. But I mean, it's from top, it's not all key guys, but it's an interesting list. And like you said, like, did they draft Addison because they don't trust Osborn, or did they draft him because they also say, you know what, if we're going to pay JJ, we can't pay him too. And
that's it, right, Judd? I mean, that's my sense.
Yeah.
It's that. It's not that they don't trust KJ. They like KJ, so it's more the latter.
And our QB discussion on the show, which is continual, extends to every position, which is if you draft a guy in the first round, you get 5 years of control. So you don't have to pay him a lot. So, like, it makes perfect sense that you would try and backfill key positions right now as guys then leave.
Still see the TJ Hawkinson extension happening. Yeah. So, like, that's not a guy that's going anywhere. Jefferson, we know they will eventually pay Christian Darrisaw as well. But, I mean, there's still more immediate concerns. Za'Darius Smith, Danielle Hunter. We touched on Dalvin Cook. Za'Darius Smith ends up firing his longtime representation. So per NFLPA records, he is now represented by Eric Burkhart, who has Christian Darrisaw on the Vikings, had Irv Smith Jr., a very accomplished agent who also has Kyler Murray among many, many clients. But he's a big timer. Like, Za'Darius was with a pretty good agency. He now has elevated to a bigger agency, specifically a high-powered agent. So how does that impact Za'Darius's situation here the next handful of weeks? I still see Danielle here. I think one way or another, the Vikings find a way to give him some sort of bump that Danielle is with the Vikings in 2023. I'm not there on Za'Darius. Za'Darius, I'm a little in the middle still, like not 100% gone or 99%, maybe like 65 to 75% gone, but not all the way to the 90s. On Dalvin, I'm in the 90s. I mean, never say never. I'm not like at 100%, but since mid-January, I've seen Dalvin elsewhere. So at this point, I'll continue to say it's like in the 90s that Dalvin is elsewhere.
Let me. This is a safe space for speculation here.
Absolutely, reckless speculation Thursday. Yeah, fire away.
What's funny is one scenario that we've barely entertained, I feel like, on the show and fans. Yesterday, a ranking came out, and I forget which publication it was, but it was some sort of like analytical ranking of every team's edge rusher group from 1 through 32, and the Vikings have right now, under contract, the best edge rusher group in the NFL, because you've got Danielle Hunter, Za'Darius Smith, both top 10 in pressures last year, and Marcus Davenport, who was like fringe top 15 in pressures, even though the sacks didn't translate. Ton of upside there, plus some other depth, right?
Yeah, I mean, they like Wanham. They like Patrick Jones, actually.
But here's my point.
I think this regime likes Jones a little bit more than Wanham. So, yeah, I mean, they have 5 guys right now that they really, really like. Just not sure Za'Darius is here week 1.
Why can't they keep everyone? That's my question. Like, we haven't entertained any, and I get the answer why. If you can get cap freed up for 2024 or 2023 even, and you can get draft capital, I understand. But is there a chance that they would just go into the season with 3 really good edge rushers and find a way to make it work?
Yeah, I mean, I think Marcus in particular has some position flexibility, right? I mean, even Za'Darius can shift inside a little bit. Yes, I mean, that's why I've been saying for weeks, Phil, like, they would really, really like Za'Darius to be here. They would. Brian Flores would really enjoy coaching him, right? But he's made it well known, now changing representation. How does that impact things? I'm not entirely sure, but, like, he wants to be elsewhere. He thinks, even at this late date, that there's more money to be made somewhere else. But yes, if the Vikings could convince Za'Darius, who hasn't been out there, now it's voluntary workouts, but he has not been in Egan the last few weeks. But if they could somehow convince him to show up, they would happily welcome him for 2023. I just think based on the moves they've made, that's why I'm like, Dalvin, it just doesn't make sense. Za'Darius, yes, everything you just laid out, yes, there is a spot for Za'Darius here if he's willing to accept the terms of the contract he signed a year ago, that 3-year deal. They would love to have him. But I still think it's like 65, 75%, something in that range, that he's elsewhere, not here.
And Davenport's insurance for someone. Like, that's not, because you've got 3 guys now that can potentially start. So I think the X factor, and again, I find it so interesting that nothing is out about it. I think the X factor is, what does Danielle Hunter want, and what do the Vikings want as far as his terms? Because we're definitely looking, like, there's no doubt here, we are looking at a transitionary phase of some sort. Like, it's become very, very, very clear. When you are moving on from the guys that they are, which is to their credit. It's football. You should. But, Dukes, Phil and I have gone back and forth about this. What we don't know is, will Daniil take a 3-year contract? How long is the contract? And does he want to be, if he wants to be in the top 3 of edge rushers in this league, you're talking about a very massive deal with JJ's contract as well coming up. So, there's a lot of unknowns here, I think.
Oh, there are a lot of unknowns. Now, I'm not shocked that nothing has leaked. I mean, what I am suggesting is more secondhand. I'll be frank. Daniil's agent, Zeke, is closed. I don't know of Zeke leaking stuff. Maybe 20 minutes before something is announced, day of.
Okay.
But he's not going to keep you in the loop on stuff on background. And as of now, Kwesi has done a good job keeping a lot of stuff under wraps in Egan. Yes, some stuff leaks, but on Daniil, I just don't think there's also been a lot of chatter, right? I mean, it's more Rob Brzezinski driving that bus, but I don't think a lot of that chatter has really picked up. Maybe it will, as we, cross into June, the mandatory minicamp about a month away. But my sense right now is, again, secondhand, not necessarily firsthand, but secondhand, is that talks really haven't gotten off the ground. I'm just saying I think they eventually will.
You know what I'm really excited for? I don't know if you have any information on this, Doogie.
The schedule release?
No, the Netflix docuseries Quarterback. They haven't announced it. So the NFL's genius.
With Mr. Cousins.
The only 2 months that they really don't own any real estate in are June and July, the end of July with training camp. And they've seen what Netflix has done for F1. They've seen what Netflix did with the PGA documentary, and they've done it for tennis too. And so to do it, and for those who are kind of out of the loop, so Netflix is doing a docuseries following around last year Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes, and who's the other one? Is it Marcus Mariota, I want to say, as the third guy? And they haven't announced when it's being released, but it's a great way for the NFL to own real estate in June or July. And I'm kind of curious. There was a couple clips, so I think I can say this. Yeah, I'll say it. What the hell? So the NFL, the producers have actually reached out to us because they're going to use some stuff from Purple Daily in some of the episodes. And so they actually sent over a couple clips of samples of, hey, this is what it's going to look like, with Judd's voice sprinkled in, giving takes on Kirk Cousins. It looks really fascinating. I mean, it's like Kirk in his hotel room speaking candidly as Kirk will. And so that's probably the thing I'm most excited about between now and the start of the season.
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, Kirk is fine in a Wednesday setting in the locker room in front of 20 of us, but really, when you can peel back the lighter, get him away from the facility, whether it's a hotel room, at a South Metro residence, wherever it might be, yeah, I mean, I think he'll come out of his shell that much more. So, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. I'm curious, will they capture the Purple Daily episode where you guys were breaking down the Don Cousins likes?
Oh, man.
That'd be great.
A couple years ago. Do they have that audio?
Yeah. I think we are the reason why he deleted his Twitter account.
I know
he didn't know that the things that you like on Twitter are public for everyone to see. So it's a
by the way, on
experience.
Cousins, I'm telling you, I'm not there that this is it. He absolutely could be here in 2024. There are scenarios where he is the Vikings quarterback in 2024.
Totally agree. If he lights it up, so I mean they basically have 3 options right now, unless they go way off the board. It's bring Kirk Cousins back, hope that Jaron Hall explodes behind the scenes and just looks insane in the 12 months that they're going to have him, or make a really bold move from the 21st slot in the draft or wherever they wind up picking. It's not going to be 5th, up to 2nd, right? So it's more likely now than it was a month ago that Kirk Cousins is the Vikings quarterback in 2024.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll be picking as high as 5, although, you look at that schedule, Phil, right? That finishing 4 Bengals and 2 games against the Lions and the Packers, right? So tough.
Wow, look at Doogie. Doogie's leaking the schedule.
Everybody's leaking the schedule. The NFL doing this big special tonight is the most hilarious thing, because pretty much every team's schedule is already out there. We know, the first 8 games for the Vikings, they alternate home, away. So I think that's pretty favorable. They have 5 primetime games as of now.
Does that match the mock?
How many primetime games did you have, Judd?
No.
4?
Six.
Judd,
Yes,
you had 4. You had 4.
Okay, so yeah, add 1. So you were close. Yeah, not the max 6, but yeah, right now they're at 5. Now, like
And
New
the
Year's
Packers are at
Eve
5.
against the Packers, like that game could be flexed,
Flexed
right? I
out.
mean, that's a
That's
Sunday
exactly
night
right.
game. Yeah,
Short
by that
week.
point, is one of those teams out of the mix or both teams out of the mix that there might be a more favorable game on Sunday night, December 31st.
A potential short week in Philly on week 2 on Thursday Night Football could be absolutely disastrous too if they fall into a trap in week 1.
Most importantly, tonight is the time to tell the family, hey, you know what? Off limits. New Year's Eve, we ain't celebrating anything except the sport of football. Today's the day where you learn when you get to ignore your family.
You know,
Christmas Eve as well?
Wait, family. New Year's Eve, you're hanging out with your. I mean, I'm sure some people
I
do.
do.
But that's
I'm
not like
53.
a.
Well, you don't have any kids, Judd.
I got Dawn and
When I think
and
New Year's
Ella.
Eve, I think let's get the second cousins in a room and have a couple root beer floats.
See that's the youngsters. That's the youngsters. I'm talking about when you're my age. It's a time of reflection. The new year is upon us, but instead it's going to be playoff time. That's what it's going to be.
Well, it'll be week 17 anyways. It won't quite be playoff time.
No, it's gonna be crunch time. Playoff crunch time, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we say. Yeah, look at Doogie. He's like, yeah.
I just feel like your analysis of what people do on New Year's Eve is a little off. I don't think it's a family.
Well,
night.
if you're young, yes. If you're young, yes. Well, look at Doogs, wife and kids, right? This is a guy who was
As of
dedicated.
today. Check back tomorrow, but yeah, today I'm good.
Wow,
Yeah.
Is there something that
No,
we
no,
should
we're
know?
No.
I mean, you got to be good with the kids. You're basically their baseball mentor.
Kids are
Well, you
good.
still can
yeah,
be.
Droogie made his umpiring debut last night. Only got mother effed and shouted at by a couple parents, so I consider that a win.
Wow.
Who are these parents? Like what?
8 and 9-year-old baseball, Phil. You can't make it up. Now, truth be told, there were 100 adults watching the game. It was 2 out of 100 that were disruptive.
I've
But
thrown
yeah,
out
he
an
heard
adult.
some stuff.
Absurd.
I've thrown out an adult as a teenage umpire. It's actually really gratifying.
Oh, you did?
should have told
you
you to do
ejected
that,
someone?
Yeah, I was 19.
What do you tell him?
and
Tell him to go to the parking lot, or what do you?
I just told him, I stopped the game and I said, are you really going to do this right now? Are you really going to start yelling at a kid and swearing at a kid? These kids are 10 years old and you're a grown adult here. I got a round of applause, actually. It was actually very gratifying.
So let me ask you this. What jurisdiction, because I have seen that before where an umpire will try to throw out a fan. What jurisdiction do they have to do that? Because if you're the fan, you could just say, no, that's ridiculous. I'm not leaving.
Luckily, it was right by, I umped at Parkway Little League, east side of St. Paul. Shout out to Parkway Little League. And it was right by the clubhouse. They have 4 or 5 fields, but this field happened to be literally I could throw a baseball to the clubhouse, and I just said, go talk to them. You cannot be here anymore. And I threw them out. It was very
I
great.
would have told you that. Definitely 100%.
Oh, that's
F
fine.
off.
And that's fine. You already swore
Your
once at the
thing
kid,
is
so go ahead and
now
swear at me.
the key is to walk off. That's the clip that went viral. Is the umpire basically says, if you say one more word, we're done here. Forfeit. And the parent did. Guy's like, yep, forfeit. We're done. And he just walked off to his car, and the guy is yelling, I can't believe you did this. He goes, it's your fault, and walks away. That's what you got to do. Now, the problem with that is you forfeit that you don't get your check. And that's the most important question.
I don't think these guys are doing it for
what
the
did Droogie
check,
get?
Judd.
What did Droogie get paid?
$25 for last night. He was supposed to be the field dump, but the field dump didn't show up, so he had to work home plate.
So he's working the game. Does the home plate ump get paid more than the field ump usually?
No, same pay.
See, there should be a union.
crap.
So he's smart. He's like, I don't need to
Let's
deal
unionize.
with all that. Let me just work the field. And 8 and 9-year-olds, there's minimal action in the
Right.
field. It's typically strikeout or walk, right?
Error.
Maybe there's one play an inning, error, whatever it is. It's not like there's a
Infield
whole
fly
lot
rule.
of plays that you really need to be super engaged on to make the call. A lot of passed balls, right? Wild pitches.
Catcher's interference
Guys get the second,
is the
third,
toughest
home.
for the kids because now they're starting to catch and they like to reach that glove out. If the bat hits the glove, you get one warning, but then afterwards, then I got a reward. Catcher's interference. It's a whole thing.
It is a whole thing.
Do you have to, or do you sort of work with the kid to be like, okay?
I give him a pass for a little bit, but if it keeps happening, I have
Sure.
to. I
I
there's
hear you.
consequences for your actions, so you got to
Wow.
step up.
But initially, I think the idea is the ump helps the kid explain, okay, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you need to fix.
It's like a
Right.
balk, right?
You know,
Yes.
if you want to go to a game and yell at umpires with very little repercussions, why don't you go to a Twins game? Get your tickets at twins.com/tickets. Twins.com/tickets. Last night, the best hitter in the American League lately, Max Kepler, just been mashing baseballs with his 6th home run of the year. Alex Kirilloff is back, at least for now, and delivering game-winning knocks. The Twins are above 500 as we sail into the middle portion of May here. Twins.com/tickets. Also, gentlemen, a shout out to our friends at Dennis Kirk and DennisKirk.com. Long winter is over. It's motorcycle and riding season. Make sure your motorcycle is ready with Dennis Kirk. Whenever you ride, you'll find what you need at DennisKirk.com so you can ride more and wait less. Over 180,000 parts and accessories in stock, clothing and helmets as well. Shipping is free for orders over $89. If you order by 8 p.m., they ship the same day. Everything you need for your ride at DennisKirk.com. All right, I'm going to grab the wheel here.
Yeah, by the way, I picked up my Twins tickets for Memorial Day weekend. The Blue Jays are here. That'll be a fun
Nice.
weekend.
Big time.
Yes.
Love it, Dukes. Okay. If you are in the camp of Timberwolves fans, and there are a lot of these people that want Karl-Anthony Towns gone, shipped out of town, traded for something, the fact that the Knicks are going to be maybe losing their series, Boston's on the ropes, the Nets are always looking for a shakeup, I feel like there's a lot of interesting steam swirling around. There was an article from like heavy.com, some NBA insider a couple weeks ago quoted some Eastern Conference executives saying the Knicks and Towns are like the worst kept secret.
Well, I mean, we've suggested Knicks' interest going back a while. I mean,
How real do you think
you got
the
Leon Rose
possibility
running
is?
the Knicks, who was Cat's first agent. You know,
How
Tibbs isn't
how
like
real is it?
anti-Cat. Well, I mean, how real is it?
In
I
a
think
month
the
or
Knicks
two.
are going to be in the market to do something big. I think Cat is here next year. So, I mean, I'll throw that out there right now. I think Tim Connolly is here. I think Cat is here to start the year. We might be having a very different conversation a year from now. I've been saying that for a while. Judd, you talk about this time next year being very fascinating, maybe more so for the Vikings. I think this time next year, way more fascinating for the Wolves compared to right now. But yes, the Knicks would be one team. Heck, if the Suns lose tonight, now I don't know how the Suns would compile a package, but I would say the Suns would be a team to watch. The Dallas Mavericks, for sure. So those would be three. Potentially Brooklyn, all the ammo they now have. So maybe the Nets. And hey,
Portland?
if the Celtics lose, right, do they do something with Jaylen Brown? I mean, that would be the first call I would make. If you are inclined to move Cat, I would want to find a way. I think Jalen and Ant could coexist. I think they would find a way. I think
Dukes,
Jaylen Brown is as underrated gets. I think Jaylen Brown is uber talented. I am like the biggest Jaylen Brown fan. So that would be the first call I would make. But I'm not sure, even if Boston loses game 6, is that tonight? Probably is tonight, huh? Is it a doubleheader tonight?
Yep.
Yeah, so if they lose tonight, if Philly wins that series in 6, Boston may look at the coach, first-year coach, the coaching staff more so than the roster.
So, Dukes, what did your friend Bobby Marks tell you, though, about Cat? Because I think you briefly referenced in this segment last week that Bobby actually said trading Cat would be easier this summer than next, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, heck.
Take us through that.
You have to, yeah, I mean, without going into all the intricacies because it gets very complicated with the new CBA rules kicking in. But essentially, with him making, what is it now for this next season, 35 or 36 million compared to the 49 million it will jump up to in a year, that when you're matching dollar for dollar, not that you can't trade $49 million, but that makes it that much harder to match the dollar for dollar, that it would just be much easier to move a $36 million contract right now compared to the 49 a year from now.
By the way, some breaking news. Rocco Baldelli just announced 30 seconds ago that Tyler Mahle, who had a known arm issue 2 weeks before the Twins traded for him last year,
Surgery?
Tommy John surgery for Tyler Mahle.
Just got the text from not anybody with the Twins, but he did. I mentioned this on Tuesday with Judd, that Tyler was going for that second opinion. Judd, remember that when I mentioned that on Tuesday, that Tyler sought out a second opinion this week. That doctor said that conservative treatment would not work and surgery was inevitable. So he will now undergo the surgery now, not, push it back weeks or months.
Paddock,
The surgery is
Mahle.
needed now.
The Twins traded for two
Remarkable.
pitchers that had known arm issues, including a partially torn UCL for Chris Paddock 6 months before they acquired him.
Well, and how
Maybe
about the
even less
Twins
than that.
doctors initially saying that, like, going the conservative route, that not needing surgery, like, where was the miss on that? Right? Yeah. What am I missing on the Twins doctors missing that he needed Tommy John? A lot of questions. I mean, I know this is right in the moment. I just got the text as you were. I'm not on Twitter, but I got it from somebody else. But yeah, conservative treatment would not work. So why did the Twins think conservative treatment would work? I'm baffled. Very baffled in the moment.
Yeah. So here, so this is from July 6th of 2022. And this was initially it was a shoulder injury, but when you have a bad shoulder, oftentimes what that happens is you either consciously or unconsciously start to stress out other parts of your arm. It's like they'll say, players with a bad knee in basketball, their ankles are more at risk, right? So when you have a bad shoulder, you're biomechanically trying to make up for it, putting more pressure on your elbow. And this is Tyler Mahle was on the injured list. Made 2 starts for the Reds, I think, just to get trade value back, right? And then eventually wound up with the Twins. So, wow, couple of big risks that blew up in the Twins' face. Now, good thing they still have 3 really good starting pitchers at the top of the rotation, and they're in first place. But yikes!
But I feel horrible for Mahle as well in a contract year, right? I mean, the idea was to position himself for a nice payday next winter. Or maybe just receive the qualifying offer, take the 1-year, $20 million deal for 2024. But now, who the heck knows what his free agency will look like?
So on this, on the subject of Twins pitching, let's move to the bullpen. And at the time the trade, I think we all again were on board. But it's interesting. Jorge Lopez, who struggled again last night and has been good and bad. Have you guys seen what this former Twins prospect, is it Yanier Cano, is doing with Baltimore?
Cano, yeah. I'm not sure on the pronunciation of the first name, but definitely Cano in the last name.
I think I came close.
Yeah. Yanier, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway.
He's been lights out, that I know.
He's been one of the best relievers in baseball, has absolutely great stuff, electric stuff. Just interesting that when you throw a guy like that into a trade, that is actually one of the reasons why Baltimore looks pretty good this season.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore, heck, it's unfortunate that they play in the best division in baseball, but there still is a pathway to the playoffs. But you look at all that young talent, including a kid from, about 45 minutes from here, Vavra, the former Twins hitting coach. His son, Taryn, is one of the Orioles. In fact, he just got recalled earlier this week. I mean, they have so many good young players. Vavra played for the Gophers as well. So
Rutschman, the
nice
catcher,
for the Gophers. Yeah, he's
a
stud. Yep. I mean, I'm happy for my guy Kyle Gibson. Love Kyle. I'll have to catch up with Kyle soon. But Kyle is, I think, pitching pretty well, Judd. Maybe you can look up the numbers real quick. But I know for a stretch, at least in April, he was pretty darn good. I imagine just with their team success, I hope Kyle's been continuing that success. But super happy for Kyle Gibson, one of my favorite people.
All right, Dukes, empty the scoop bag. What else you got for us here before we wrap?
Yeah, so more so 1500 ESPN, the home for University of St. Thomas Athletics. Look for an announcement on Monday. The plan right now is Monday. I mentioned this. I can't remember if it was in this space or on my TV scoop, but I mentioned a few weeks ago, Gophers men's hockey, University of St. Thomas men's hockey will play in October. So look for that official announcement. In fact, it's going to be the opening weekend. So whatever that is, that first weekend of October, maybe it's the second weekend. But Gophers men's hockey against University of St. Thomas coming up in October. Look for the announcement early next week. Can't remember if I mentioned on Tuesday, Judd, I caught up with Elijah Hawkins, the new Gophers point guard.
He did.
He said Utah, Richmond, Ole Miss, North Carolina State tried to get him in for a visit. This was the only place he visited. Led Howard last year to its first NCAA tournament appearance in 31 years. Double-digit scorer, led them in assists. So pretty good get for the Gophers. New starting point guard, Elijah Hawkins. That means Mike Mitchell Jr., the transfer from Pepperdine, who I thought would be on the ball a lot when he committed here. Looks like he'll be the starting off guard.
There he is. Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department with some good fodder and some fun speculation.
Enjoy the schedule breakdown later, boys. Enjoy it.
Can't wait.
Pretty good schedule outside of home games on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Not good for the personal life, but hey, we'll overcome it.
Let's do it. Yeah. You just have to tell your family you can't hang out with them on New Year's Eve, and everything will be fine. So, all right, there he is. Doogs, thanks for hanging out with us here.
You got it.
Also, a shout out to our friends at Nutrisource, NutrisourcePetFoods.com, the official pet food and dog food of Mackey and Judd and Score North. Yeah, Maya Mackey, always with a giant smile on her face whenever old Macadac pulls out the scoop of Nutrisource chicken and rice.
So excited. She's doing it in slow-mo. And guess what? That's right. Pop in trouble today because he decided to try to sleep until 8. And guess who was at the bottom of the stairs, staring upstairs with a death glare? That little girl on the left. And it wasn't because she loves Pop. It wasn't because she wanted company. It was because she wanted her Nutrisource.
Yeah, Vinny's at grandma's last night, so I had to make sure I had the treats loaded. Had to have the treats loaded, and he's sitting proper, waiting for his, just kind of like Stella is. Doesn't have the death glare necessarily. He won't give me the death glare. We haven't reached that stage with my dog son, if you will. But he wants his treats. Dang it.
Yeah. I'm in trouble.
NutrisourcePetFoods.com to find a Nutrisource retailer near you. We appreciate those of you who celebrate the reckless speculation lifestyle with us on Score North.
Reckless speculation.
Just know that Thursdays and every day are an open, free, and non-judgmental zone for you to speculate recklessly on your favorite Minnesota sports teams.